If you love sports, then you'll love Stats and Stilettos.
There's a long one deep to left. That ball's got some carry, and it is gone. Home run for B.J. Upton. Upton hits his 27th home run of the year. Swing and a miss, and a delayed start by Wise. Now he's caught. He tries to double back, but is tagged out. 3-2 and a long one off the bat of Upton. Deep to left, and that baby's gone. Home run for B.J. Upton. His second home run of the game. That gives the Rays a little cushion. Home run number 28 for B.J. Upton.
And he shoots this one in the air, deep into left field, way back to the track, and that ball is gone. It's a home run in the opposite field for Prince Fielder, and the Tigers have the lead.
I have never seen him this fired up after a homer all year long. It gives him number 30 on the year.
And the 0-2. Tapped slowly toward first base. Prince will gobble it up. He will make the tag, and the Tigers will win the series here, and more importantly, get even closer to clinching the American League Central Division.
This is Heartbreak Hotel. Welcome to Heartbreak Hotel.
Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON, Stats and Stilettos. Those things right there you just heard were courtesy of Sun Sports in Florida and Fox Sports Detroit. Sox getting beat again. Tigers now have clinched at least a tie for the division title in the American League. What's going on, everybody? I'm Farouk Basir.
I am Ty Eileen.
I am Maya Akai.
And tonight, we'll start off talking about that. But coming up at 9:20, we're going to do a Bears-Cowboys preview. We'll turn the mood to happy time and talk about football. We'll do that. We'll have our Around the League thing working later on in the hour as well. And at 10:04, we'll have former Bear Jason McKee, former Bear fullback, to talk NFL and, of course, some college football as well. We'll do headlines at 10 in the 10 o'clock hour, and we'll also have our tip of the week later on. So we have a lot going on tonight, ladies.
We do.
Yeah. You guys need to go online and listen to the show at WVON.com. Go there, click on the iHeartRadio app. Take WVON with you wherever you go. You can also like our Facebook page as well and follow us on Twitter at
Stats Stilettos.
And the phone number here if you want to comment, talk to us, mess with us, harass us, anything you want to do, 773-591-1690. That is 773-591-1690. And, man, where do we start with these Sox? Wow. How do you go from being up 3 games 2 weeks ago to the last 3 games of the year they have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday? They don't even matter. You had a 3-game lead 2 weeks ago.
But here's the thing, and I think if you are a Sox fan, you should have never been comfortable with just a 2 or 3 game lead, realistically. To me, they needed to clear a bit more space from Detroit than what they did, just because I'd like to say they're 2 teams that's equally yoked, but that's not true, because obviously the pitching for Detroit is much better and it's more established. But the Sox pretty much went on 10 games back just to have not performed well. When they were in Kansas City and pretty much just had a god-awful series, swung out to L.A., played the Angels, got swept there. You would have thought coming home to this homestand, they would have performed better. But instead, it was like they went, 2 for 5? 2 and 5 in a homestand when you're in a pennant race? Here's a question I have for you, Farouk. Okay, I'm going to make the assumption. I told you last week I broke up with them and my status is now single on Facebook.
It's not complicated anymore?
It's not complicated anymore. We've broken up until next year at least, maybe. We are never getting back together. But seriously, so I was talking about this with somebody. They said, well, what was your expectation coming into the season? Can't you just walk away from this and say, I'm okay with it? And I said, well, no, because I came into this season with the expectation of this is going to be probably a really poor season for them. And then they performed beyond what I expected. And now I'm extremely disappointed.
I'm so tired of people using that as an excuse. Well, we didn't expect them to do anything this year. We sat here and talked to guys during spring training and stuff. We talked to writers and everything. And, yeah, I cracked on them because I didn't think they would do anything. But as the season goes on, your expectations change. And you don't become all of a sudden, well, I'm going to default back to this. They weren't supposed to do anything. Crap, no. You know what I mean? They put themselves in a position to make the playoffs, and then they stopped hitting is really what it came down to. I can't lay this at the doorstep of the pitchers at all. The pitchers, Robin Ventura overused the bullpen more than anything. He's bringing guys in that guy gets one hit or give up a walk, and he's yanking them in the fourth. The rookie manager hurt them the last month of the year. He had periods during the year where you could tell like he would hurt them later on, but that overuse of the pen, I'll put that second behind the hitting.
But
the over-aggressive batting style.
But here's the thing. The hitting never really slumped, if you think about it.
What?
I mean, not like for long periods of time. Like, they may have a 3 or 4 games they slumped, like, during the year.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be realistic. They were the boys of summer. They played really well. They stayed in first for a duration of the season. I think this is why this is so hard to accept, to play so well. Matter of fact, think about it. They'll probably end with a better record than they had last year with an experienced manager. Last year, they were, 79 and 83? So they are going to probably finish above 500.
Yeah, they'll be over 500.
So I guess
that now.
I'm trying to tell myself, well, it's better than last year, and, Robin Ventura will probably get better and not make the same rookie manager mistakes. But I'm like, to not even be able to walk away with the AL Central Division title after all this hard work, it just seems like it's empty. Now, here's my question that kind of ropes in. I know we really haven't talked Cubs because there's been no reason to, but here's my question. Here it is. Dusty Baker exited the Cubs after being there for 4 years, didn't accomplish a whole lot. After obviously coming from the Giants, being there for 10 years, actually leaving the year he won the pennant, the NL pennant, and coming to the Cubs. So here it is. He goes to the Reds. They look pretty darn good. My question would be, and Dusty Baker has this thing, he doesn't have a belief about on-base percentage. He's not enamored by that. Did the Cubs maybe lose faith in him too soon?
You know what?
I'm just curious. Do you feel like maybe they pulled, the string on that project a little too soon? Because he's in his 5th year with the Reds, and they have won 2 division titles in the 5 years that he's been there.
I think the Cubs have a history lately of getting tired of people talking about them and trying to figure out what can we do. And so, you have a situation where you're not necessarily the team that you want to be. You're definitely not the team that, sells out games. and you know what I mean? They sell out games, but the team's not playing in such a manner that
deserves it.
that deserves a sold out game. So I think it gets to a point where they're quick to make decisions now. If something doesn't look like it's working, oh no, hurry up and change it. As opposed to let's allow somebody the time to work with the players, work with, back office, work. There's a whole lot that comes with being the head of a team and making those type of decisions. And they just may really have gotten to the point where now they are hardly giving people a chance to do anything, worthwhile and time to mesh.
But all of that started with Dusty, though. If you think about it, they had a couple of playoff appearances since '84, but 2003 is when all the Bartman, Dusty, the Marlins thing, when they blew the 3 games to 1 lead, all of that started with Dusty's first year. And then the next year, they did what the Sox are doing now. They got down to the last 2 weeks of the year and coughed up the wild card spot in 2004. So all that was a product of Dusty. And then 2005, 2006, they kind of fell apart. I think, he's obviously the most successful Cubs manager of the last 100 years because before that was their last World Series. And they hadn't even won a playoff series until Dusty got here in 2003. So I'm going to say all that, and also I'm going to end it by saying I wasn't the biggest Dusty fan as far as what he managed the games, but he brought unprecedented success to the Chicago Cubs.
But it's interesting because when he first came to the Cubs, they were 88 and 74, over 500 obviously, and they actually did win the division.
That was
year.
2003.
But then they started kind of taking that down climb. The next year they were 89, 73, still over, 500, but they finished 3rd in division. But every year after that, like 79 and 83, 66 and 96, that was his final year with them. Yeah. So, but I'm like, it's interesting that then he flips over to the Reds and a similar team in that kind of same position that he left the Cubs, but every year they got progressively better, won the division twice, and here they are back in the playoffs. It's just really interesting to think, when do you decide that a manager is the right fit? And I know you're right. With the Cubs, it's always been the ghost of the past will never go away until they win something. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, I look at Dusty Baker, who I don't think he was a fan favorite. I think he was constantly scrutinized, especially he had an odd substitution about how he would put people out to bat when they really didn't have good, on-base percentage. And a lot of people scrutinized how he decided to manage that team. But you look at, he's had some decent success with the Reds in a short amount of time.
He's been successful wherever he's managed. He's a good man. He does something right. He doesn't really handle the pitching staffs of teams right, and that's what got him in trouble in 2003 with when Game 6 a lot of the complaints besides Bartman was he left Pryor in too long. And then bringing in, Dave Veers to give up all – they got an 8-run eighth inning, I believe. That's what the Marlins got in that Game 6. So his pitching management isn't that great. But like I said, whatever he does it right because everywhere he goes, he wins.
Stats and Stilettos.
Welcome back to Stats and Stilettos here on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. Feel free to call in, comment on anything we'll be talking about tonight, 773-591-1690. That is 773-591-1690. And that music means Bears when you hear it. Bear down. And joining us now to give us a preview of tomorrow night's big game between the Bears and the Dallas Cowboys is Eric Brown, sports anchor from WBBM News Radio 780. The WBBM news time is 9:22. What's going on, Eric?
Farouk, how you been?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
All right.
Why does Jay Cutler perform so poorly in night games?
What kind of question is that?
I know this is an opinion question, Eric. But I mean, the numbers bear it out. For some reason, he just doesn't step up in night games. You can go back to the 49ers game from a couple years ago with the 5 picks. Just in general, he just seems to have poor performances in night games.
Well, I think too what it will boil down to as well is again, you're only going to be as effective as your offensive line, and the fact of the matter is that he really didn't get a whole lot of protection. He wasn't getting a lot of protection in day games either, but. But you're right. He has struggled quite a bit at night. And, look what happened a few weeks ago in Green Bay. Unfortunately, but they got to him early, and for some reason or other, maybe he gets that happy feet. But what the Bears probably need to do is allow him to roll out a little bit more. That's what he does best anyway. And what I'd like to see them do too, maybe a little bit of a hurry up a little bit more. It seems like there's so many more offenses that are effective, in that hurry up offense because it kind of keeps the defensive line off balance a little bit. So I know you don't want to change what you really do, but if that pressure gets there, why not try something like that to kind of keep them a little bit off balance?
Also, I think, believe it or not, this might be a breakout game for Jay. And I'm going to say this only because the Cowboys secondary with Brandon Carr and the rookie they have, Morris Claiborne, they really have not been that. They're rather soft in their secondary. So this might be the game that Alshon Jeffries and Brandon Marshall can go head-to-head, and they may be able to pass the ball. This may be a matchup that Jay may really be able to air it out. So, for what it's worth, he may not play well at night, but being that Dallas secondary is probably as bad as Chicago secondary, this might be an exploitation point.
Well, you know what? Here too, though, some are saying that Rob Ryan's corners have done pretty well. Is that they've, to a degree, shut these receivers down. So maybe we're talking about the fact that their free safeties and strong safeties aren't very good, to the point where maybe Cutler, what he may need to do is throw the ball down the field, down the middle of the field a little bit more, as opposed to wideouts, or throw a few more of those slant patterns at Brandon Marshall, who can go over the middle. Jeffrey has shown at times that he can go over the middle as well. You know what too, besides that, this game probably is going to come down to field position, in my mind, which means special teams are going to have to be key. We haven't had a big game from Devin Hester yet. Perhaps it's time, especially, in the return game, to get them going, to be able to allow the Bears to have good field position, because it seems like when they've struggled is when they've had poor field position and have had to go the length of the field, with the exception of the first game against the Colts, when Cutler was able to air it out. But this is a much better defense than Indianapolis. So I think field position is really going to be critical in this game.
As somebody that has, continuously campaigned for Forte, what do you really think we can expect out of him for the remainder of the year?
Well, I think the biggest thing for him is that he's just got to stay healthy, because we've found out that when he's healthy, he's just very effective.
Yes, it just
in addition to being
like
able to run the football. Yeah, that's true. He practiced pretty well this week. I think the Bears were pleased how he moved on that ankle. The tough part is that, again, you're playing on turf as opposed to grass. So, it may not give as much, obviously, as if you were playing on grass. But the thing of it is that he's such an effective weapon, not only running the football, but also catching the ball out of the backfield and then making something happen after that. Not to take anything away from Michael Bush, because I think he's been, the perfect find for them as a backup, and he's certainly contributed. But the thing about Forte that you like is that he can catch the ball out of the backfield and just opens things up a little bit more for the rest of the receivers on the field.
All right, Eric. Thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks,
All right.
Eric.
That's Eric Brown from WVON News Radio 780. All right, let's go around the league. A lot of interesting football going on today, and joining us to break it down and guide our segments is,
Interesting in quotations.
Yeah, very.
Not all caps bold.
Damon, take it away, man. What's going on?
What's going on, everybody? This is Around the League. I'm Damon Spruiel. Follow me on Twitter, DEMONZE1. Yes, that's right. I am a shameless plugger. First game. I have to get to this one. And I know our host doesn't want to talk about it, but I had a little something on this one. Green Bay 28, New Orleans 27. My upset pick went down by 1 point. Aaron Rodgers, 31 for 41, 319 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Drew Brees, my man, 35 for 54, 446 yards, 3 touchdowns. But they lost on a penalty with the field goal kick. It's heartbreaking. I'm not even a Saints fan, but that was heartbreaking for me.
Who that? No, I'm just kidding.
Ty.
I mean, it was a heartbreaking game when it started. Let's just put it out there like that.
Okay.
You're coming into the game, you're 0-3. You're like, please, football gods, can we do something at Lambeau Field? It's not an easy place to play at, number one. So you're on the road. You haven't won one game in the season. So I felt like they kind of started off like, and that may just be as a Saints fan, you just kind of feel like, oh, please do something. They turned it around in the second half, which I'm never worried about the Saints in the first half. They're a second half team. That's just what they do. It's like they want to wait till halftime to evaluate what's been happening on the field. They come back out and they turn it around, which they did today.
They did.
However, they lost.
They did.
It's the defense. It's always the defense with them. It's not offense, because Drew Brees will get you down the field. He will figure it out. He will survey, what the defense is doing, and he plays his favorites for the day, and today it was Sproles. Some days it's Jimmy Graham. Today, Sproles.
And Marcus Colston, 9 catches for 153 yards.
Colston did have a big game.
Yeah. So, it came down to that kick, and you just, what can you do at that point? 2 penalties. Mm-hmm. All he wants to do is kick the ball. That's all he wants to do is kick the ball. And he kicked it the first time, and it was good. And then they said, wait, holding. Okay, great. What idiot.
They got 5 yards back. I was
going to say,
they got 5 of them back.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, we were talking about last week about icing the kicker. That's worse than icing the kicker.
2 back-to-back penalties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you just, at this point, all we can really hope for is that they can turn it around at some point, and we don't have to, I was not a Saints fan when people were wearing brown paper bags, but I don't want people to have to pull them back out. So
they're coming. I was asking you last week, like, what brand are you going to be using? Are you going to go to Jewel for a brown paper bag, or what's going to happen?
Oh, Aldi's.
Yeah, they have some nice ones. They're pretty sturdy. They make it on the walks home in the wintertime, with mom and all that. You know what I mean? So.
Fruit, what you got on the fruit?
I'm sorry. Aaron Rodgers had all day to throw. It goes back to what Ty said about the defense. He was just standing back there,
Yeah, he like making a sandwich, and
although he got poked in the eye, he was making a sandwich with one eye for a while.
Yeah.
He still did his thing.
Yeah. So Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, I can't stand them, but they were making some good points about him having all day to throw. So,
Maya, you got anything on?
It was obvious that game that was on the slate that was like, this is a really big matchup, and Drew Brees is being Drew Brees. There's nothing you can say about that. On any other team, they would be winning football games. I still say Sean Payton is sorely missed in this situation. I mean, he's a key to their leadership. So it's unfortunate the Saints are 0-4, but maybe by mid-season this ship will get turned around.
I doubt that one.
Okay.
All right.
I'm just being gracious.
All right, let's go ahead and stay in the NFC. Let's move up to the NFC North. Minnesota 20, Detroit 13. My upset pick, that's right, another one. Adrian Peterson, 21 rushes, 102 yards. Matthew Stafford, although I like to call him Glassford, 30 for 51, 319 yards. Christian Ponder, 16 for 26, 111 yards. No, nothing spectacular, but they got it done. And look at this, the Vikings are 3-1. Who would have saw this, Maya?
Nobody. No, I'm serious. I mean, and here's the thing. Detroit, I'm going to go back to what I said last week. This is Detroit being in the second year of being a more balanced team. They're still not, they don't have everybody on the field they need to win. But still, when you lose to the Vikings, it still makes you raise an eyebrow. This was just not a good look for them. The Vikings 3-1, I like to think this is more of a mirage. That, you know, you're out in the desert, you think you see a body of water, but you don't believe it. But hey, it's AP, but it's just a game that, for Detroit, bad loss. Minnesota, good win.
Good win.
I mean, they beat the 49ers, now they beat the Lions, so people are kind of going, okay, well.
You're going to start taking them a lot serious.
Right.
Very serious.
I'm going to say something that nobody's going to agree with. Calvin Johnson is overrated.
Stop.
He's overrated. He had a touchdown. He got hit a little bit. He really didn't get, I won't even say popped. He got hit a little.
You know what? Yeah, I don't agree with that.
And he dropped the ball. That was a big play for them. It was only the second quarter, but that
So
was
are
a
you
huge
basing
play
his
for them.
overratedness
But
on that one
he
play?
does that a lot. He does that a lot. I am a Calvin Johnson observer. I think I'm going to start calling him Starscreen or something because he's not Megatron. Megatron wouldn't be dropping that stuff. He's like a
choke over here with
yeah.
that.
So he's dropped down a
Farouk's
notch.
gonna get
You know what I
poked in the
mean?
eye.
So, but
This is gonna
yeah,
happen.
Calvin Johnson is not who we think
He's
he is.
arguably the
I
best
think he's
wide receiver
exactly
in the
who
league.
he
Yeah.
is. Look, you can't blame everything on him when it doesn't go right. How
Okay, but
ridiculous
if
is
you're
that?
going to be all this, you're this big, great receiver. Catch the ball. Can make the big play. They needed that touchdown, obviously, as you can see by the score. They needed that touchdown. They lost by a touchdown.
Whatever.
So, all right, you know what? We'll be back.
Welcome back to Stats and Stilettos. Find us on Facebook and like our fan page.
Welcome back to Stats and Stilettos. I am Damon Spruiel. We have our hosts Maya Kai, Farouk Basir, and Ty Eileen going on around the league right now. And let's go ahead and hop back right into one of our hosts, the Cougar Crush, the San Francisco 49ers.
All of them. No, I'm just kidding.
All of them.
The whole
No,
team?
Don't lie. Don't lie. San Fran 34, the New York Jets, nothing. Alex Smith, 57% completion rating, 143 yards, no touchdown, no interceptions. Mark Sanchez, 103 yards, one interception. Frank Gore got down 21 carries, 62 yards, not bad, but he got a touchdown too. But this just shows a good team can bounce back from a bad loss, and going all the way from San Fran to New York out east and winning, that says a lot.
Told you last week they were just having a moment. That's it. It was just a moment they were having. I mean, it was a loss. That was a ridiculous loss. And it was, obviously a conference loss too, which was not good. But the Jets are exactly who you think they are, which is not a good team. We were talking about before in the pregame about how is it time for Sanchez to go and is it Tebow time? I'm going to say this. Does it really matter who they put on the field? Either one of them? I don't think it makes the Jets a better team.
You can't have Tebow out there.
I don't think it makes them a better team. I don't think there's any worse with or without
I think
him.
Sanchez gives them a little
little
bit
bit better
more
chance, yeah.
than Tebow.
Well, here's the thing. You're making that assumption based on what you saw Tebow do in the system in Denver last year. You don't know within the Jets sense of what he might do.
How about Sanchez with 2 AFC championships?
I'm
That doesn't mean anything?
I'm not overly impressed with Mark Sanchez. I mean, I'm not saying he's awful, but at the end of the day, San Francisco did exactly what they're going to do for the rest of the season, and they manhandled the Jets. And
He stinks,
Farouk,
but he
I
doesn't
want you to
stink that
say
much.
something smart. Go ahead, say something smart. The goal rush is on.
Let me see. Something smart.
Go ahead, say something smart. Find something wrong to say about the 49ers right about now.
No, 49ers played great. I mean, this probably shows us that the Vikings might be better than we thought. That's really all I got to say about this game.
Okay,
So,
thought so.
you
All right.
You were lurking, huh? But I didn't give you
Say
anything.
something. Say it.
I didn't give you anything.
That's right. Traveled across the country and handled business. I like that.
Yo, that was a good win. That was a really
The
good
Jets
win.
aren't good though. So
Of course they're not.
Yeah,
Let's
they're not
go.
good. I don't really have anything to say about their donut of a score. outside of I don't think it's time to switch the quarterback. I don't think it's going to help them any. I think the only thing they would prove by putting Tebow in the game is to say we have Tim Tebow.
Yeah, he actually had 9 yards on the completion to one pass.
He completed a pass?
Yeah, he completed the pass, I believe. Yeah, 9 yards.
That's news right there.
That is news. All right, let's go ahead and go to one game that I thought this was going to be an upset, but once again, I was wrong. New England 52, Buffalo 28. Tommy Terrific, 22 for 36, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ryan Fitzpatrick's 22 for 39, 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions.
Before you even ask us what we think, can I ask you why you thought this was going to be an upset?
Listen, I am not a fan of the Patriots. I just have this disdain for them.
But you have to respect
the
the talent.
But that's
doesn't it?
exactly.
I wasn't finished yet. I wasn't finished. I do think that they're going to take a step back this year. I don't like the wide receiver core. The defense, is a little bit better, but I'm just not. I don't think they're the Patriots that we're used to seeing. And I thought that Buffalo can kind of, take a win from them. The Buffalo usually plays them very well. And they were winning like 21-7.
I'll back you up on this because Buffalo's 2-1 and playing well coming into this game. New England isn't New England, the New England Patriots who we are used to seeing. So this is kind of surprising. They had a big fourth quarter is what happened in this game.
Even if the New England Patriots are not the ones that you're used to seeing, they didn't fall so far from their throne that you would think that the Buffalo Bills would come in and upset them.
They played them well. They played them well. It's a good division game, good division rivalry. They play them well, and who would have saw 52 points? I mean,
because it's called 4 interceptions by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah,
Let's be honest. When you give away that many opportunities to another team like
lose.
New England, they're going to monopolize. They're one of those teams that aren't going to march down the field and not get anything out of a turnover. That's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. So you can't give them 4 opportunities to score. So they took advantage of that. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
The thing here is Buffalo was supposed to have a great defense. That hasn't manifested itself yet. New England had 2 100-yard rushers in this game. So you're not going to win doing that and the turnovers. All of that combines to lose by 24 at home.
All right. Next game, Atlanta 30, Carolina 28. Cam Newton 15 for 24, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns. Matt Ryan 25 for 40, 369 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But Michael Turner, 13 rushes for 103 yards. Turner the Burner, that's right, the NIU Huskies up in here. Got down and did his thing. That's right, directional school, I'm representing. All right, Farouk, what you got on these guys?
Carolina has been a disappointment so far this year. They haven't been as good as I thought. A lot of people thought they would be. Atlanta, regular season champs, so they keep on rolling with that title. I think Carolina's going to turn this around, though. Their defense has gotten progressively. They played a lot better than they played against the Giants a week and a half ago. So I give them credit. Greg Olsen showed up and had a big game. Wow, haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, he usually gets touchdowns for you, though.
He wasn't a bad tight end.
He was good.
No, he was good. They should have never traded him.
He just didn't fit into the Martz system, is what it came down to.
The Bears being honest, organization didn't fit into the Martz system.
Well, of course, that was. I mean, the curve on that was real low. I mean, but yeah, you know what? Unfortunately for Carolina, I mean, it's a not a bad loss because it wasn't like a blowout. And I agree with you, Farouk. I think as the year progresses, but they better hurry up.
Yeah, Carolina will turn this around. They're in a division that lends itself to turning this type of stuff around. With a Saints team that isn't what they normally are. And Tampa Bay stinks too. So Atlanta, do it in the playoffs.
Do it in the playoffs. That's the theme of this. That's the theme of Stilettos. Atlanta, do it in the playoffs.
Do it in the playoffs.
Do it in the playoffs. All right. Let's go to one game that was rather interesting. I didn't see this coming from this particular player from Ryan Tannehill. Arizona 24, Miami 21. Arizona, who saw this coming? Won in overtime. Kevin Cobb 29 for 48, 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like I said, Ryan Tannehill 26 for 41, 431 yards, 1 touchdown though and 2 interceptions. And Brian Hartline 12 receptions, 253 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. But another overtime game. We saw a bunch of those last week, Maya.
Yes, we did.
And Arizona pulled it out. Who would have thought this? Arizona Cardinals winning.
Okay, but let's get back into the conversation about managing the game. The Dolphins had 4 turnovers in this game.
There you go.
This gets back into you can't provide teams with opportunities like that. Even the Cardinals. So you're talking about having 4 turnovers in that. I mean, it wasn't a heavily penalized game either. But I think that's part of that. That was a killer for Miami. Are those turnovers?
Yeah, and Tannehill with all the big, pretty numbers. Well, like Maya said, he fumbled there in overtime.
Yeah,
when
big
they were
fumble.
when they were driving down the field, and Tannehill gives the ball up, Arizona gets the field goal, wins the game. So
And even though the Dolphins had 8 sacks in that game, I mean, so it wasn't like they weren't getting pressure on the QB and everything. But at the end of the day, it's just the turnovers were something that worked against them.
And I was saying something during the break. I think they're 4-0. I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona winds up 6-10. Buffalo did that last year. Came out the gates real fast and didn't even make it to 500. So I can totally see Arizona having the same type of finish. They are not impressive to me.
But in power rankings, you look at this and you say, this is very unexpected.
Yeah.
I mean, you can expect for certain teams to maybe perform well in the beginning, but it's like Arizona wasn't a team I really had kind of on the slate for that.
But to go to the next game, and it's for any of you all, do any of you all believe in Arizona's defense? Because their defense they're not bad. I think they'll be able to keep them in. I think San Francisco.
They have a
eventually
good. They
gonna
have a good
They
defensive.
have a good
backfield.
defensive backfield, right?
Outstanding defensive backfield.
Yeah, I think San Francisco eventually going to take over the division,
Not
of course.
eventually. Let's just say
Well, they will.
win. Exactly. Let's get that right.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk
Let's just
about.
get this
I
right.
mean, talk about your boos like that. Okay.
Well, then I
go
have
ahead.
a boo
Who's your boo?
that plays for Arizona.
Oh,
I have a thing for Larry Fitzgerald. I just love him.
Yeah.
So
He's booable.
if it
He's booable.
he's booable.
He's booable.
He's very. We might have to put that on a T-shirt.
Hey, I like that.
He's booable, and he had his touchdown today, which hasn't always. He's a great player, but he doesn't always find himself in the end zone, and it's
He needs
frustrating
to be,
for me.
He needs to be on a different team. I think
He
a waste.
does need to be on a
It's a
different
waste for
team.
him to be in Arizona. That's a talent waste to me. I mean, he really could be somewhere else having a bigger impact.
I don't feel sorry for him. He's been in the Super Bowl. People know who he is. What's the next game?
wow.
You just mad 'cause
He's
he
just
booable.
mad because he booable.
And gut punch to your boo. Okay, Washington 24, Tampa Bay 22, RG3 26 for 35. I see someone does not want to talk about this, but
we can,
323
we can.
yards. Vincent Jackson, 6 receptions, 100 yards from Vincent Jackson. And Billy Cundiff got ran out of Baltimore, but hit the game-winning field goal to win in Tampa Bay over the Bucks. The Redskins win again. Farouk.
And he had missed the first 3 before that, which is the funny part. And he came up and hit the game winner. That's funny. I thought Vincent Jackson was going to disappear in Tampa Bay. I was wondering why would you go there after leaving a great quarterback like Phillip Rivers and then go to Josh Freeman? You know what I mean? So I didn't get that.
I didn't get that either. I was like, all the teams that are out there, nobody else really had interest in Vincent Jackson and his ability. I didn't understand that either.
Could it be the personality?
When you got that kind of
Malcontent?
talent, though,
Did something precede him? I mean, does he have a bad rep?
because he held out last year?
Yeah,
You saw
I
those
mean,
games?
got a little rep.
That's a trend in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's doing that now. If you don't do it,
Something wrong with you?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't hold out, something wrong with you.
But RG3 got rocked like late in this game. He got hit real hard.
He did.
Hey, knocked his checkered socks off.
I'm like, man, he better learn to slide, or all these numbers he's putting up aren't going to last very long.
I feel like somebody is telling him that, like, slide. Dude, why do you feel like you need to go at this like a running back? Like, no, stop doing that. This one was hard for me too because, having spent so much time in DC for school, I pay attention to the Redskins. So to see the Redskins lose today in the last minutes of the game and to see the Saints lose in the last minutes of the game, I feel like, right now the Eagles are playing. If the Eagles lose, it's like trifecta for me on this Sunday. So, that game,
Well, hopefully Washington makes it somewhat interesting in the NFC East. All right, just to run down the rest of the games. Seattle took a loss to St. Louis, 19 for 13.
That shows us the Bears are probably better than we think they are.
Whatever.
What do you mean?
Because St. Louis with that win, beating a Seattle team that played pretty good defensively, regardless of the way the game ended last Monday night against the Packers. They did play good defensively against Green Bay.
They did.
Got 8 sacks in the first half on Aaron Rodgers. So for them to then turn around, and get beat by St. Louis, that might show us that.
But you want the head coach fired, though.
What, Seattle?
Yeah.
Yes. But I can't deny how good they. I'm not biased, man.
They're
I give people their props when
They're
they do stuff.
inconsistent at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's too inconsistent. All right. San Diego 37, KC 20, Houston 38, Tennessee 14, Cincinnati 27, Jacksonville 10. Watch out for
Bears'
the Bengals.
next opponent.
Watch out for the
Jacksonville, after
Bengals.
this one.
Denver, another boo of another Cougar crush over here.
Yes.
Denver 37, Oakland 6.
Peyton Manning had
Peyton Manning
huge
got down.
numbers
That's
yes,
right.
he
in
did.
this game.
He's
Huge
bouncing
numbers.
back.
What was it, like 31 for 38?
But remember, just one hit.
That's-
Just one hit.
Why don't y'all stop?
I'm a Peyton Manning fan, but
Stop
just one hit.
hating.
That's
Stop.
all it's going to take.
And
I mean,
last,
it's just one hit for anybody if you think
Technically,
about it.
right.
But him,
with him,
Talk to Johnny Knox about that. Not to be mean. One hit in his career.
Wow.
Johnny Knox is probably not coming
He's
back
probably-
to football. He's
no,
done.
he's done.
No, yeah.
He's done.
It's a wrap.
Literally, if he wasn't a football player, his insides would have
They
been on the
pretzeled
field.
him. I mean,
you know, he's probably
done.
listening. He just
I
turned.
like Johnny Knox.
You
I
made
mean,
Johnny
but like
cry.
we talk about one hit kid, it's for anybody. So I mean, you know.
That's true. And last Monday night, Baltimore beat Cleveland 23-16.
Surprise. Whatever.
Cleveland hung in there, though. They got down. They had the ball at the end. So that's all you came out. And Philly is playing the Giants right now?
Yep.
Yes, Philadelphia
Yeah.
13, the Giants 10.
And Dominic Rogers-Cromartie has the stupidest haircut in the league. He has blue hair. Is that blue or Eagles green, what he just had on his head with that mohawk?
I couldn't tell, but I'm sure it's probably
Wow,
stupid.
it's
I'm
dumb.
tired of hearing about the Eagles. I really am. I want somebody just to do bad stuff to them all season.
And the Monday night game is Bears-Cowboys. We just talked about that. All right, and also tomorrow, which is coming in with very little fanfare, even compared to the Ryder Cup, is Bulls training camp starts. Media day is tomorrow, and training camp gets underway.
Talk about a long, painful season to come.
Yeah, I believe the reason why nobody is talking about it is because we're not really quite sure who, from a media perspective, who are we going to look at?
Well, see, Kurt is back, so I guess we'll look at him for a minute.
Literally 60 seconds.
Right, Teague. I'm assuming he's gonna get a little play. The rookie's gonna get some playing time.
Well, you got to remember who's
High
the
hopes.
coach.
I'm just
You gotta remember
just
who
saying,
the coach is
I'm
before
just
you
kind
say
of
Teague's
rolling
gonna
some
get some
stuff
playing
out.
time.
We got some local boys back in the fold. You got Nazir Muhammad is here, so I mean maybe we'll hype that up. Another local boy back on the team. So even though Derek can't be on the court, we do have another Chicago fella
Chicago guy.
balling
Chicago.
on the team. So I mean that hopefully that's some balance. What neighborhood is he from?
I'm not sure.
Didn't he go to Kenwood? Am I right? Tamia, Kenwood? Is that correct with Nazir Muhammad?
We'll find that out.
Okay, so hey, Taj Gibson. I mean, hey, I don't know. Noah.
I have
Now,
no
I'm always
enthusiasm.
excited to see Noah because he's my best friend.
I have no enthusiasm about the season. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing the Clippers and the Lakers, those teams like that play. I'm not looking forward to this Bulls season at all.
Hey, you could even just kind of turn your focus towards the Nets because everything they do is news. I mean, they have a
I'm
herringbone
not looking forward
floor.
to the Nets.
They publish what the cheerleaders are wearing. I'm just saying. I mean, everything that the Nets do is like publicized. I'm like, they haven't even played a game and they're bad. But it's a big deal because there's a team back in Brooklyn. I guess you have to be from Brooklyn for that to have any meaning because it means nothing to me.
Mr. Muhammad is from Hyde Park, by the way.
He went to Kenwood, right?
But he's from Hyde Park. of
Okay.
course. But yeah. But
Does that count in Chicago?
Yeah. But this proves to me my lack of enthusiasm for this Bulls season that I, just like when Jordan left and I stopped watching them, I'm an NBA fan more than I am a Bulls fan. This is the only team in Chicago that I can say that about.
You're so
that I'm more of a fan of their sport than the team that plays
you
here
are
for us.
so unfaithful.
When it comes to them, yes. I guess because, no, I really don't know why, but it's just I'm more of an NBA fan. I can watch random NBA games, just like baseball, but I think I'm still a Sox fan to the heart, even though I can still watch random baseball games. But I can watch random basketball games and just totally tune the Bulls out, in which I'm prepared to do this year.
Here's a question.
I'm prepared to sit up late at night and watch Golden State against the, who's horrible out there, the Phoenix Suns, and be happy with that.
So here's a question. Another team that low expectation to perform. And what happens if I've heard people say, and I just can't agree with it, oh, the Bulls are going to make the playoffs. And I'm like, they lucky if they win half their games. That's right. That's right. We had this conversation yesterday. Oh, they're gonna be in the playoffs. I'm like, well, you're right. When you get to the bottom of the basement teams left in the East, I mean, I guess that they can beat the Timberwolves and maybe get the 8th seed. But how come I don't have any faith in that? And I mean, here's the thing. And to watch some Bulls fans, I'm surprised they're taking this abuse and saying, you just have no faith in your fair weather. But I just look at...
Because they are. Keep it real. Bulls fans are the most fair weather fans in the city.
I don't know. Don't make
that
George
real.
call in here.
Keep
George
it
is
real.
going to call
Bulls
in.
fans are the most fair weather fans in the city. It's not like Sox fans, where Sox fans just don't care. The most fair weather fans in this town are Bulls fans. Cub fans and Bears fans are super loyal. Sox fans can use some work, but the most fair weather fans in this town, hands down, are the Bulls fans.
Look, I'm gonna be honest.
It's not even close.
I get very emotional about the White Sox. Like I told you, I had to break up with them last week because I was really upset. I was rah-rahing the whole journey through this. I'll be honest, when it comes to the Bulls, I'm a Michael Jordan fan.
Exactly.
And that's where my love affair. I'll be mad. I don't care. That's where my love affair was with the Bulls, as I loved Michael Jordan, everything about him. And granted, I have cheered for them, when they seemed like they were rebuilding a team and they had structure. I mean, but I'll be the first to tell you, I'm all Team Durant. I know people don't like them.
And that,
No, I do. I
But that's
love
my
him.
point, though. Go on your Twitter line or your Facebook page during the NBA season, and you'll see people from Chicago, never been outside of Chicago, saying Team Celtics or Lakers or whatever, who's ever the hot team. Right now, the Thunder are the hot team. So the Thunder, Miami Heat. This is the fair weather's most fan base in all of Chicago.
I agree. It's like
the Chicago Bulls fans.
they'll-
It's easy.
You're right. They'll say I like the Bulls, but I also like.
See, they weren't saying
It's
that
always
when
a-
Michael Jordan
No,
was
it was
here.
like,
But
oh,
Michael Jordan said everybody and their mama was a Bulls fan in this town.
I'm being honest about it. But I'm a Kevin. Actually, I do like the Thunder, but I'm all Team Durant all day long. But it's going to be a hard season to watch, unfortunately. But hey, maybe they will surprise us and do better than I think. I guess what the problem is for me when I look at the Bulls is that I'm puzzled how all these new pieces are supposed to fit together. I think that's what I don't understand. Is you have all these pieces you've brought together from the outside. I understand you're clearing the books, you're freeing up money, so eventually you can, I guess, rebuild, because it's not going to happen through the draft, folks. Getting a bad record is not going to help the Bulls. It's about what they can get in free agency. I think they realize that. So they're freeing up money, so you bring in these players, and I'm not saying they're bad players, but I guess I just don't understand how they're supposed to work together. That's what I don't get. Like, what's the game plan on this?
They're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I guess that's why I'm lost. I don't see it. When they finally resolve the CBA, and I just have a beef about this. I'm sorry. They talked about the salaries that the referees managed because they had the NFL by the kahunas the whole time. So, in 2011, NFL refs made $149,000. By 2013, they're going to make $173,000
For a part-time job.
For a part-time job, and by 2019, $205,000. And now some of them are going to become full-time employees. They already had a pension, and they also got some, fluff in their pension. I'm like, they knew exactly where they had the NFL over a barrel. Look at that money.
They took it easy on them, though. The union took it easy on the NFL because after this past Monday, after the past 2 weeks, really, the past two Monday night games, they could have gotten over like fat rats.
Maybe.
So they were men of principle about this.
It was
Maybe
it was
the refs-
112 to 05 was the vote. So they were like, let's roll.
Maybe the regular refs were paying the replacement refs to be worse than they actually are to make them look better. To make them look better, to say, you need us.
I felt so bad. I'll be honest. I felt bad for them, the replacement refs. You could tell there were moments where their insecurity showed frequently because they were so scrutinized. They'd be like, red team 86. Red team 86. What?
No. He said St. Louis was the one thing. St. Louis in the Bears game last week. The man said St. Louis.
They were saying things so out of character. But I tell you, after we went to that classic, I totally understand why they were really not equipped to get to that level.
To a certain extent, I can agree with what you're saying. However, if you make a bad call in the NFL, you can review it. Why is it taking you 10 minutes to see it slowed down? It's in slow motion now. So if you're used to seeing things slower, you are now watching it in like turtle speed. So why is it taking you 10 minutes to see that it was a fumble? It's called a fumble. Let's say it with me now. Fumble.
But this is why.
Come back and say it so the game can continue.
I'm in the hood and I've got my headphones on. I'm talking to the person in the booth and we're watching. It's like, nah, you sure right? No, wait, what did it go back? Now, where do you put it on the? It was a long conversation between, okay, it's a fumble. So where do you put it now? Where does it go back to? That they had to cover all that ground. I'm not gonna lie.
But is that not still general basic football knowledge to know where? I can see if you didn't see it the first time it happened and you had to go to the booth. But why are we now having a conversation about the rules of football?
Look, because where they came from, it just wasn't that elaborate. You saw that in action.
I will not go there with you. I went to an HBCU.
The biggest issue they had.
Everybody knows you only go for halftime.
They were very time clock efficient. Put the time back. I mean, they had that on the money. So I can understand why they struggled at that level. God bless them for taking that leap of faith because it was a big deal to do that.
Thank you to
You know what?
Jason McKee, former Chicago Bear, for joining us and talking a little college football as well as a nice NFL breakdown. Thank you to Eric Brown from WBBM News Radio 780 for joining us and giving us a Bears-Cowboys preview. We were real heavy, intensive into that. Nice to do a little pregame Bears stuff. Thank you to the Chicago White Sox for ruining my summer.
Thank
I
you.
could have been
I
doing,
agree.
doing
Well,
a
they
whole
didn't
lot of
ruin
other
your
stuff.
summer.
Yes, they did, because I could have been
They didn't ruin my whole year.
All
The whole
those
year
games
was-
I watched, all that time I set aside on
I
nights
gotta-
when I could have been doing all
Right.
type of other stuff.
I gotta wait till
Thank
spring
you
now.
for
I'm
doing
mad.
that and not paying off at the end. I appreciate that.
It's cuffing season,
We
too,
are never
as
getting
I've
back
been
together.
told.
Ever.
Man.
So you shouldn't be breaking up with people during cuffing season.
Thank you to all of the production team, producers, all that. Run out of time because I had the vent right there. Check you out next week.
Holla.